Good morning, everyone. We're here with the VSuccess and Mario Michas for Law and Society. Maia.
Hi everyone, my name is Maia Fukuyama and I'm in my second year at Vanier College in the psychology program.
So today we have Dushime with us, a student at the McGill Law Faculty. Dushime, could you please present yourself?
So thank you first for having me here. I'm really honored to be interviewed on this interview. So a little bit about me. I'm a student at law at McGill Faculty of Law. So I did my bachelor's degree at Concordia in political science, and I also did my social sciences at Vanier. And I was born in Kigali, Rwanda, and I grew up in Uganda as a refugee. So my parents and I immigrated to Canada in 2010.
All right.
Thank you for all that information.
And what would you say are your most memorable experiences of studying at Vanier College?
Seriously, I really enjoyed Vanier. But first, so before applying to Vanier, I did my high school in Joliet, so that was in French. And I had actually failed my French exam, so I was not accepted to Vanier. And that really sort of like, quote unquote, broke my heart, right? But then I had to redo the exam in the subsequent summer. And fortunately enough, I really passed the exam, the French exam. So, and then I quickly replied to Vanier. I was like, can you guys reevaluate my candidature to the Vanier Social Sciences program? And I got my acceptance a week before school started. And I was really happy about it. And I don't regret going to have gone to Vanier. So one of my experiences, my memorable experiences, was, I think the Jake's Cafe was a great place to meet people, and and I think we also had the, how you call it again, the universal break, something like that, where you could meet everyone, like regardless of if you're doing nursing or you're doing social sciences, if you're doing whatever, you could meet with everyone. And the other memorable thing is that I did a lot of sports. I did try with the Vanier soccer team, but unfortunately, actually, I got an injury, so I didn't pursue that. But I kept on getting involved in sports with swimming, with playing basketball. So I would say, in a nutshell, Vanier was a great community that had a great diversity too.
Yes, definitely. Vanier is known for its diverse community as well as its inviting atmosphere. The Jake's Mall is still and continues to be a great place to meet new people, and the sports teams are extremely inviting to every student.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of sports, but is there anything else that you do in your pastime, in your free time outside of school?
Well, so I don't do any of swimming anymore because of sort of like COVID, and also I didn't pursue it in my undergrad. But something I still do right until now is running. So I do that outside of school. So I usually go for like a 10K or a 5K, sort of like every day, or 5 times a week, something like that too. What else? I also like reading. So reading about histories of the countries, African countries especially. And now I'm interested in learning about China itself, because as we know that, China is a growing, and it's having a growing influence on world politics or world economics. So I'm really interested in knowing the history and how they see the world and how the world sees China.
All right, thanks.
And how did your interest in studying law come about?
So how it all began, I didn't want to do law. I first wanted to be a pilot. And I think this comes from my parents. They always told me, we had a pilot in our family. Why don't you do this? This is great, and all this kind of stuff. But then I was like, I'm not good at math and all this kind of stuff. And then I switched, when I got to Vanier, I switched to psychology. And then it seems almost every time I have an interest, there's always a challenge, and I was always scared of it. I always feared the uncertain. So with psychology, it was more of someone telling me, it's going to take you 10 years. You have to do your PhD and all this kind of stuff to become, a practicing psychologist. And then that really hurt me, and I was like, this is very tough. And then also I had to take biology classes at Vanier. I think I really didn't do well in that class, actually. And those were kind of the indicators of, what, this is probably not your field. But as I went through my bachelor's degree, I sort of took some time to reflect on my life, sort of like where I'm from and where I'm at today, and to connect the dots. And, I come from an immigrant family. There were refugees. We were refugees in Uganda for 10 years. And I saw a lot of injustices that happened with that. Even having access to an education itself, first, it was really a challenge. I remember when I used to cry because, the headmaster had told me to go back home because I didn't have school fees. And all these dots led to one thing. Law can be an antidote to these injustices. And here I am. I applied to law school, but also before applying to law school, I had to get prepared. So I had to apply to the Canadian Council for Refugees, get involved, and get to know the field itself and get to know myself. And ultimately, yes, after that, I was like, law is the right path, and this is the right path that's going to lead me to, have a reasonable impact on people's lives.
That's truly inspirational, and it's great that you were able to use your own personal experience to one day make a change for the world for the better.
All right, so you're currently studying at McGill Faculty of Law, and obviously there are many people at Vanier that would be very interested in applying, and I would be very interested in getting in if they are so lucky. So is there anything you'd like to share about the law program and sort of what McGill has to offer in terms of a legal education?
Yeah, so first, it's my first year, and I haven't really had a full experience of the program itself. Besides that, it's, we're having remote studying, so I haven't had a full experience, even for a 1L. But here's what I've got from McGill. It's a bachelor's degree. You will graduate with a JD and BCL, so Bachelor's of Civil Law. So you get both civil law and common law. I think it's the only law school that does this sort of thing in Canada itself. So that's one perk of going to McGill itself. And the other one is it's bilingualism. So it's French and English. So we get to learn about the Quebec civil law, but then of course the cases always are always applied with the French language. So you get exposed to both languages, and I think also they have a great way of connecting you to the alumni. So you professionally grow, and I think the classes are really amazing. So on the first year you take torts, criminal justice, constitutional law. You take foundations, and now an interesting class. It's indigenous legal traditions, and I think this is very important in Canada. With Canada having a conversation with its past with the indigenous peoples, so this class was really amazing, and I think this is something I would say unique. I haven't seen with other universities, but I think this is something unique at the faculty. What else? I think learning all these classes have made me realize that when you go outside, you realize there's a lot of legal problems going on, like torts. If someone does something unreasonably faulty, you're like, oh, that's a tort. Oh, that could be maybe criminal law. All this. So you end up being this. You live in the legal world, and you end up seeing a lot of problems that you want to actually give solutions to. But it's life, and you can't always give solutions to the problems. But I think this is one thing that I've learned from McGill for now, and McGill is really a nice environment. I like also the diversity of the class, diversity of thought, of backgrounds, nationality, and having a cohort that is essentially very driven. Like they're really driven. So that also helps you with your keeping sane.
All right, thank you for all of that. I think that you shed some light on a faculty that a lot of people are interested in it. So I think it's going to help a lot of students. Thank you.
So, Dushime, you're on the Canadian Council for Refugees. Could you please elaborate on what you've accomplished in that role and what exactly it entails?
So I got interested in the Canadian Council for Refugees, I said, in my bachelor's degree. I applied to be a youth project leader. Essentially what I did was mobilize youth immigrants and refugees in Joliet, which is a small town 1 hour from Montreal. I was successful with this project, and then later on I applied to be on the executive team as a financial coordinator. I also excelled on that, and then I applied to be a co-chair. So I'm currently co-chair, and essentially what we do is to amplify voices for refugee youth in Canada. And in doing so, we're also creating an environment and a community of a network of youth refugees in Canada. And I think this is something important because with how the Canadian system works with refugees is that we sort of like put them in different places, but we don't create a network or community of these different places we are creating. So I think the Canadian Council for Refugees Youth Network has provided that space for the youth, and sort of like elaborate on the voices, amplifying the voices of refugee youth. Actually, recently we've been approached by Senator Rosemary to contribute on a new bill that's going to establish National Children's Commissioner of Canada. So this is another way of the Canadian Council for Refugees Youth Network to contribute on programs and policies that the Canadian government is putting forward. And personally, I think what I have accomplished, and something that I'm really happy about and proud about, is last year I created the Youth Network Bursary that essentially gave 2 bursaries to youth refugees in Canada. But when I actually proposed this idea to the executive, it ended up going from 2 to 5 people. So I was really happy that I was able to give bursaries to refugee youth in Canada. And mind you, these guys are really motivated. I had a hard time to pick the 5. So there's a lot of dreams going on there, and I encourage whoever is listening to this to understand the importance of an education for refugee youth in Canada.
That's really amazing. And yes, it's definitely extremely important to set up a foundation and a network for people as they come here. It's one of the main things that you need is to feel supported.
Yeah.
All right, so among your many roles that you've contributed to society, you're also a youth advisor for the IRCC. Would you like to comment more on what your role there is?
Yeah, so the IRCC is Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. It's the Ministry of Immigration, Federal Ministry of Immigration in Canada. So essentially what I do is give nonpartisan youth perspective on policies and programs. And I've been fortunate enough, or lucky enough, I had an opportunity to contribute to an employment policy last year that that was put forth to address the unemployment rates in newcomer youth immigrants in Canada. So essentially, what we do is give nonpartisan youth perspective, and we continue doing that. And recently, we also talked or actually contributed to a policy that is fighting racism in Canada. And essentially, the government asks for youth perspective on this, and I'm there to give that with other youth members.
I'm very happy to see that a Vanier graduate is really helping advance society towards the better.
You've been able to successfully balance the heavy workload of law school while also committing yourself to such positions that help society. Do you have any advice on time management strategies?
I would give one, and I think it's very, very effective, is quote unquote quantify to have a quality education. What I mean by that is for instance, what I do for myself is, so I have these classes. I quantify how many hours do I need by for each week for this class. And this is going to help you have an idea of how you can actually accomplish this class itself, right? You do that with the other classes as well, and the other commitments you have outside school. And I think we've heard this a lot of times. We all have the same, 24 hours. And it's all about how you strategize with these 24 hours. So I think it's coming from there, right? Strategizing with the time that you have and allocating reasonable time with each commitment you have and each class. And this is gonna help you with not being just reactional. What I mean with that is essentially if you have a paper that is due tomorrow, of course, right now you're gonna be stressed because you didn't put the time before, right? You're gonna be stressed on that, and you're gonna end up writing. Mind you, some people do write good essays when they're really stressed, but I don't encourage this. I don't think it's a long term thing that you can continue doing, but I think having that strategy, putting the time for each task, and not finding yourself, before the deadline, having to react to the, with stress and anxiety and all this kind of stuff. I think these get into the intervene, and they really bring down your creativity and your brain capacity. So that's what I do, quantify the time, knowing, okay, this class is going to take me 40 hours, or this class can take me, 20 hours, or this commitment is going to take me 5 hours. Because what's going to happen if you don't do that is you're always going to have a sense of like, oh, I have 5 classes, I have these commitments. And once you have all this in your brain, it starts to be a lot of things. You end up saying, oh my God, this is overwhelming. You don't put that on paper. You keep that in your mind, and then you become anxious, all this kind of stuff, and it starts building up, and then you essentially burn out. So I would say strategizing with the time that you have, and seeing what you can do with the commitments you have. But I will also add to not be well, essentially to be flexible also, right? You don't, it shouldn't be rigid, right? And it's going to help you with enjoying your life as well, I think.
Definitely, one needs to make time for themselves, and as well, scheduling and making sure that you do things in a timely fashion allows you to be more creative with your work and actually to go over and learn more in the process.
So you've involved yourself enormously in your community. You've also been a very good student. I think you achieved great success at Concordia and also at Vanier. Is there anything that you learned from those experiences that you want to share?
I see the time is going fast, so I'm going to be brief on this one. One thing I've learned is that you cannot do it alone, right? You always need a community. You always need people around you. You always need your family. You always need your peers in accomplishing whatever you want to actually accomplish. So building meaningful friends, joining a club at Vanier, volunteering in your community, I think would lead to you growing and also professionally growing your network.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice, and having a support system is very important to achieve success.
Do you have any parting academic or life advice to share with our viewers?
Yes. I have a quote that I did for myself. I usually use this when I'm asked this question. So, there is no good in comparing yourself to others. And I say your success is yours to craft. What I mean with that is we all have different paths. I'm essentially different. I'm from a different background as my peers at McGill Law. Some of them have come from successful law families, like I don't know how to say that, but legal families. Some of them come from well-established families, right? And my family has relatively gone through hardships, with the Rwandan genocide that my parents went through, and they had to, find refuge in Uganda, and having to adapt to a new community and all this kind of stuff. I think if I start comparing myself, for instance, to other people, I think I can bring myself down. But what you have to do is to measure your own kind of success. From yesterday, am I being a better person today? And what can I do to become a better me tomorrow, right? So that's what I sort of like keep on doing. It's really hard. It's really hard to not compare yourself to others. I understand that. In class, someone has an accent. I'm speaking from experience. I came from Uganda with a strong accent. And when I was at Vanier, some folks would have different accents, and I would feel bad. I would, should I be talking like them? Why is my accent this strong, and why am I talking like this? So I think, and my English was not that sophisticated. So what can I do? I need to read. I need to speak more. I need to talk to this guy who has done this and that. So I think you need to measure from your own experience and from where you come from, and I think you would see that you have done a great success in your life, even though to some actually my life is not a success. For me, I feel like I'm really happy about my life, and I'm really grateful for that. So I think if you can measure your own success, it's going to make you a happier person.
That's very insightful. And yeah, it's extremely important to keep yourself in mind and to keep your own path and your own journey of self-growth.
All right, so we've at the end of the interview. Thank you, viewers, for watching the interview with Dushime. Dushime, thank you for also agreeing to participate. We wish you good luck in all your studies at McGill, and see you in the next one.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for the viewers for watching this. I hope you learned something. I hope you can use that in your future. Thank you.